Hello everyone, and welcome to another video by Falling Down the Rabbit Hole. Today we're going to look at a book that's actually very special to me. This is the actual book that I had in my childhood, and I believe it's the reason that I fell in love with folk and fairy tales, and the reason that I now study that subject. So let's look into this. These were books that were published by the publisher called Dean, and they were sold in shopping marts back in the day. This is my copy from when I was a child, and the block has separated from the cover. As you can see, it's completely loose, just because I looked at it a lot, and as you can tell, they didn't put a lot of glue on there. I could fix this. I could glue it, but for some odd reason there's I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia. I just kind of leave it as it is. This was illustrated by Janet and Anne Grahame Johnstone. And these illustrators, they were twins, and one of them drew animals and the other drew human figures, and they are very, very interesting as people, and someday I will do a video all about them. But for now, I just want to look at this particular book and show you the illustrations that were so inspirational when I was a kid, and I think that are still absolutely wonderful today. Some of the best fairy tale illustrations that we have. Alright, so this is 1977 edition. And here you can start to get a sense of these artists' work. Little Red Riding Hood is where we start. One of the things I'll do on this channel is be going over fairy tales and how they've changed from generation to generation. And Little Red Riding Hood is one that has changed many, many times. There are many endings to this story. And the further back you go, the darker and the weirder this tale gets. So I'll be doing that on the channel someday as well. Some Mother Goose rhymes here. I feel like, and it's funny because most of these drawings were done in the 50s and 60s, I believe, but for me, this is the quintessential look of 70s fairy tale illustration or children's book illustration. For me, this is what I think of when I think of the 70s. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I don't know what it is about these tales that are so interesting to children. I remember reading this and just being completely taken with it when I was younger. It was funny and a little bit scary. Three little pigs. I love how the illustrators play with the entire page, how they move the text around to work with the illustrations. Rumpelstiltskin. The casual magic of fairy tales is also really interesting. Just randomly spinning straw into gold. That's this power. But also the weird rules. Here's a perfect example of why I love these illustrators. Look at that. Full page. Just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, but the rule that all she has to do is say his name or know his name to defeat him. I love these strange rules, and it's so fun to study and try to figure out historically where some of these rules come from, or what they are analogies of, what they're connected to. Another really good full page. Stealing from the Giant. One of my favorite of all the pages I'm going to show you in this book. Of course, the original version of this fairy tale did not have a kiss to change the frog prince into a prince. In fact, she throws him against a wall, the frog, splatting him against a wall. It would have killed a normal frog. And somehow he then turns into a prince and is in love with her because she is a true princess, which I found very interesting on my first read of the older versions of this tale. Just a sign of how much they're romanticized throughout the years. She's not happy to have the frog at her dining table with her. Yeah, in this one they changed it to she picked up the frog and threw him across the room. In the earlier ones, she picks up the frog and smashes him against the wall. Classic Princess and the Pea. The White Cat. Anthropomorphic animals are one of the things I love most in these old illustrations. And this story has a lot of them. In fact, you can see that there was one page of this book that I opened a lot, and it cracked the spine here. We're coming to it now. Look at these cats. But this is one of my favorite illustrations. Cat Theater. I love that one of the cats has a dog on the leash. Lots of dogs on leashes, actually. Again, if you can find books by Deans, and there's quite a few of them. There's an Alice in Wonderland that I also had when I grew up, and there's many more. They're really wonderful books. I highly recommend you grab them if you can get them at a good price. All right, thank you very much for watching. I do plan on this channel to also do deep dives into the history of fairy tales, starting with, of course, the world's oldest literary fairy tale, and that is Cupid and Psyche, which is a deep dive I hope to do pretty soon for the channel. If you're new here and you'd like to see more content like this, please go ahead and click subscribe, and if you like this video, please click like. Thank you so much for watching.